Hello and welcome, beloveds, to another episode of Ask Dr. Mumbi. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How you doing? How's everything going? I really do pray that you are well in all your ways, really, all your ways, and that you're moving into living life truly on your own terms. Really want to thank every single person that has supported us on Patreon. We appreciate, love you so much, and everyone that has sent us love donations through PayPal. We do definitely send you a gift, so that should be in the mail, or you should have gotten it already. I've been getting a lot of emails from young people across the continent who are asking, what do we do? You know, how do we prepare for the chaos ahead? How do we prep when we have absolutely nothing to prepare with? What advice would you give us when many of us don't have a job, many of us don't have livelihoods, etc., etc. Many are even living with unconscious parents and are kind of at their mercy. And I've, especially from South Africa, I've gotten a lot of emails from, our South African brothers and sisters. And these are tricky times, beloveds. And what I always say is the advice I would give you is never allow the mental concept to never accept in your heart that you have nothing, because you have each other. And the youth now, everything has been done to create like a divisive thing, generational division and then division within the generation. But right now, beloveds, it is so important. If you have absolutely nothing and you're asking, how do you prepare for the apocalypse? How do you prepare for the end times? For what, Babylon is trying to orchestrate and what other forces are trying to orchestrate, not just in Africa, but across the world. What would I say? First of all, I would say, if you're planning to leave Africa, stay put. This is going to be the safest place to be. Trust me. And secondly, I would say you may not have nothing materially, but you have everything spiritually. And that's why the beginning of this show always says, to all the dispossessed youth of Africa, I am speaking to you directly, beloveds, because you are the game changers. And they've done everything to handicap you, to ensure that you can't make those moves. They've done everything to oppress you by making you, having you be born into totally mentally colonized parents, families, communities, having you born into your religious psychosis. But and Jomo Kenyatta is the one that said, to all the dispossessed youth of Africa, for perpetuation of communion with ancestral spirits. There's one of the keys, beloveds. You have to tap into the spiritual realm. You're not going to make it physically. And physically, they've already set so many of the odds against you. So you have to start tapping into your ancestors, the Most High Creator, so that you can even be given the supernatural instructions on how to survive, how to transform your life, and not just to survive, but to thrive. Because he says, for perpetuation of communion with ancestral spirits in the fight for African freedom. That basically means that we must connect with the unborn and those who came and left on the spiritual world, because they're here perpetually to overcome and to win this great battle that is ahead of us. And he talks about how the dead, the living, and the unborn shall unite to rebuild the destroyed shrines. Because the shrines, beloveds, were not places where we went to worship any gods. They were power stations. They were powerful places, and that's why all these foreign, the foreign invasion included overlaying our power stations with their churches. And having us worship there is the greatest trick of all. Because it's like we activate what is there. But we're activating it for the wrong God stories for other days. But to our beloved youth, beloveds, organize, organize, organize. If you're unorganized, you'll be vulnerable. And test the spirits, and test each other. Because one thing Babylon is getting ready to do is to pit one against the other, friend against friend, family member against family member. I mean, Facebook was even asking, like, do you have any, rebellious or radical family members or friends? And I think they had to withdraw that question. But if you are not organized, if you're not in some kind of group, then you're extremely vulnerable. And to the women, oh, there's so much I could say. But come together, because together, when you pray together, when you chant together, when you stand in a circle and hold hands and declare a thing, that is so powerful. That is so powerful as a shield of protection, as a shield of action. And look into the goddess councils and the goddess energy, beloveds. Especially, there's so much you can do as a woman so that you will not be vulnerable. You will not be taken advantage of in this season. And especially during the menstrual cycle, beloveds, that should be your deepest time of meditation and prayer. Deepest time when you're isolated. Or if you're in sync like us women get with the women that we're close to at the time. If you could just come together, do your research on that, and really use that time as a very sacred time to make your petitions to Mama Earth, Mama Universe, Mama, the Great Mother. Find a way to grow your own food, beloved youth. Don't have that concept that you don't have the money. There are plastic bottles everywhere. You can recycle. You can put a seed from a tomato into, a fast food drink, whatever bottle. Put soil in there and grow it. At least get into that habit of growing your own food, because that's where we're going to eventually go. But as things stand right now, organize, gather, come together in your communities, in your neighborhoods, whether it's your high schools, organize and come together, because there's so much more power in that. And then reason and meditate together, beloveds. Reason and meditate, talk about the times. That's what our revolutionary ancestors did. They met and they discussed. That's how the Mau Mau operated. That's how the whole revolution started in Africa. Because people reasoned together. And you see, beloveds, they are probably going to shut down the internet soon, especially when they realize that it's a tool of inspiration for the use of Africa. Like, some will see what's happening in South Africa and be like, yo, there's also injustice here. You know what I mean? Because we're always inspired by one another. We are one thing. So prepare for that time. That's why I'm saying organize at the community level. Spread the truth, share the truth, because that's how the Mau Mau did it. Then they didn't even have the luxury of phones and all that. But they literally, the revolutionaries, went from village to village explaining what was going on, what was really going on. That's the level we're going to have to reach in order to reach everyone. Because they are going to take this system, the whole World Wide Web. It is coming down. It's a Babylon system. And there's a lot that's happened. I mean, here in Kenya, at least I know, like, community-based organizations, youth community-based organizations, there's a lot that they can access once they're 10, 12. That's why I say organize, organize, organize. Like, if there are 10 or 12 of them, they can get land where they, government land where they can plant food. And then in return, they do some landscaping for the government in certain places. At least that's what's happening where I am, near Mount Zion. So look into the opportunities that are before you. You're going to make it. This is your time. This is your season. But you're going to make it supernaturally. So stop trying to figure it out physically. And stop trying to look at your situation physically. Elevate yourself. The spiritual practice, the spiritual works is the most important thing that you could be doing right now. Because the higher you go, the more information will be revealed to you, and the more power your voice will have to transform situations. To Kopamoja.